Narayane Samarpayami. Jai Guru to everyone. So today we will do the 17th chapter. We have completed till the 16th chapter, Divine and Demonic Qualities. 17th chapter we will start today. With God's grace, successfully we have completed 16 chapters. We have understood the basics of Bhagwat Gita, what each chapter contains. Now we will do the 17th chapter. All within less than a month and a half. So again, that's God's grace only. Okay. And this chapter is called Sapta Dashodhyaya. Sorry. It is called Shraddhatraya Vibhaga Yoga. It is the Sapta Dashodhyaya. Means 17th chapter. Sapta, 7. Dasha is 10. 7 plus 10 is 17th chapter. It's a very simple chapter. The concepts are pretty deep. The concepts are in fact very deep. And it carries forward from the 14th chapter. 14th chapter is, if you remember, Gunatraya Vibhaga Yoga. So reiterating, 10th is Vibhuti, 11th is Vishwarupa Darshana. After that, after watching Vishwarupa Darshana, we get Bhakti. The power to seek only God and the love, the pull in the heart to feel only God all the time. Bhakti Yoga. And then after attaining Bhakti Yoga, we are made aware of. Our souls become aware of all the secrets of the universe. And hence, we understand first in the 13th chapter, Prakriti and Purusha, which is called Kshetra and Kshetrajna at the micro human level. It is called Kshetrajna, Kshetrajna or a soul level. And at the macrocosmic, it's called Prakriti Purusha. Then Lord introduces Prakriti more in detail by explaining the 3 gunas in reference to a human being, which we can extrapolate into a situation place also. 15th chapter, he talks about the Purusha, Purushottama. So Prakriti and Purusha, 13th, 14th and 15th. And 16th chapter about the beings. So Prakriti, Purusha and the different types of beings, divine and demonic beings. It doesn't necessarily mention Manushas. Manushas have a mixture of both of them, divine and demonic qualities. But as we refine ourselves, there is a clear-cut demarcation of pure divine or pure demonic qualities. So Lord talks from that level. And now 17th chapter. In the 17th chapter, Lord Krishna explains what was spoken of as Prakriti much more in detail. So this is more like life advice, the 17th and the 18th chapter, beginning of the whole of 17th and whole of 18th chapter. It's more like, now it's the conclusion of the Gita. So now Lord Krishna wants to tell human beings what you should be doing in life, literally. Because he's going to now conclude. Or rather, you could say, between the 13th and the 16th chapter, all that was learned about Prakriti and Purusha, about creation, how does it reference with respect to each individual? So that is what is taught in the 17th and 18th chapter. 18th is conclusion. So this is a very interesting chapter. It is more like patronizing. Like, many people don't like to be patronized. Do that, do this. Many humans don't like it. Eat this, don't eat this. Tum kaun hote ho puchne ke liye? It's a typical question, right? But fortunately, unfortunately, all the Western religions are very patronizing. You do this, you do that. This is similar to that, 17th and 18th, a little patronizing. So Lord says, this is how you should actually be conducting yourself. This is how you should speak. This is how you should behave. This is what you should eat. This is how you should live. This is how you should pray. As mentioned in the Western civilizations, basically in all the Abrahamic, civilizations like Judaism, older Christianity, which is the Old Testament, even New Testament also is like that only. Yeah, Quran, of course, and then you have the Zend-Avesta, all these similar. But the Gita, only these 2 chapters are like that. After 18th half chapter, again he stops patronizing. See, why it is like this? We should question ourselves. If we look at the history of mankind, to give you a quick glimpse of it, Indians have been a very advanced civilization, morally, spiritually, for various reasons. Since antediluvian times. Antediluvian times means those times when history wasn't recorded, meaning before the flood. When did the flood happen? About 12,000 years back, right? So that was the last ascending Dwapara Yoga got over and it started descending. So before that, anything that happened is antediluvian. There's no record of it, right? So since then, Indian civilization has been a very advanced civilization. So since it's an advanced civilization, when you talk to an adult child, you're not going to be patronizing. You're not going to tell him, look, do this, do that. It is understood that the child knows well. Already he is mature enough to understand. So that is why in Indian scriptures, you will not find that patronizing quality. Whereas if you're speaking to an Adi Manava or a tribal or a native, who lives like a hooligan, who doesn't know anything, how to make his own clothes or what to eat, what not, you're going to be patronizing. So that is why beyond the Hindu Kush mountains or beyond the Sindhu river, everything was Adi Manavar, about 1,000 years before. So all religions had to be patronizing there. So that was the times like that. Okay. So now let us look at these beautiful chapters. Very interesting chapters. These are Saptadashodhyaya and Shraddha Trivibhaga. Tata, with typical Arjuna's question, Arjuna now talks about, so he's understood a whole lot of things now. So he asks a question, or he says, Arjuna Vacha, Ye Shastra Vidhimutsruchya, Yajante Shraddhayanvitah, Tesham Nishtha tu ka Krishna, Sattvamaho Rajastamaha. Approaching the topic here. So here he asks about something about nishtha or faith. Nishtha or faith. So faith and belief are 2 different things. Guruji has explained this very clearly to us. Faith and belief are 2 different things. So just before we understand, because this whole chapter is about faith. What's the difference? Guruji says, give us a very interesting example. And like he says, in ancient times, people believed that the earth was flat, but it was proven wrong. After some time, they stopped believing in it because science proved that the earth is round. So this is belief. Belief changes. But faith never changes because it is rooted in anubhava or experience and it is sure. So that is faith. So the day you get faith in God, our entire life changes. I believe in God is different because tomorrow somebody can come, preach to me or tell me something about something wrong and reason so well, very well about especially whatever mantra I'm chanting and say this is wrong. And I will believe in it. That's belief. But faith is when I have seen Krishna, I have felt him, I've practiced Kriya Yoga. I know the power of Kriya. Nobody can change me from that. Even if they cut off my head, they will say, the people with faith will say, yeah, go ahead and cut off. I'm sure what's going to happen to me after my death. There is no fear of death. So that is faith. When you've seen the power of God. So this is faith. And this is the whole chapter is talking about faith. Faith is a very important thing. Faith is much, much, much different, higher than belief. So Lord says, here Arjuna asks a question. Ye shastram vidim utsrujya. Suppose those who, Shastram vidhim. Shastra means all the written injunctions along vidhim. There are many things written, right? इसको ऐसे पकड़ो, दिया को ऐसे करो, लेफ्ट से राइट करो, राइट से लेफ्ट करो, ऐसे गोल घूमो, शिव मंदिर के अराउंड ऐसे करो, ऐसे उल्टा मत करो, इसके अंदर मत घुसो. Those are all, what are all those injunctions, shastric injunctions? Here he asks a very poignant and a very deep question. He says, Shastram vidhim utsrajya. I will not, suppose somebody is not following nothing written in the Shastra. Yajante shraddhaya anvita. Yajante is to worship, pray, or do yajna. Shraddhaya anvita, shraddha, filled, anvita, filled with shraddha, with bhakti, with love for God. Tesham, their nishtha, faith. Shraddha also faith only. English doesn't have too many words. Shraddha might be one notch above, nishtha. Nishtha is belief, higher belief or definite surety in Sanskrit. And Shraddha is a very high, peaceful, calm faith. Both are used, English word is faith only. Nishtha tu ka Krishna. Which is correct, Krishna? What is their type of faith? Sattvam, Aho or Raja or Tama. Is it ignorant faith? Is it a very strong and passionate faith? Rajasic faith, or is it goodness, faith of goodness? And this is a very fascinating question, as if Lord Vyasa knew that in future there are going to be people who will never do any shastric injunctions, but will definitely love God. Obviously, we know what Lord's answer is going to be. It's quite detailed, but finally he says, Shastra is good, but when your faith is atut, that is the crux. When your faith is atut, in the sense you are filled with bhakti, whatever you do is Shastra. This is mentioned even in the Bhakti Sutras. So anything that an enlightened person says or does becomes Shastra. Because Shastra was created for people like who are ABC beginning in the spiritual path. So when a person is filled, for example, you take the example of Shabari. Shabari, when she gave Rama, what does Shastra say? You cannot even taste, you can't even smell a fruit before giving it to God. Oh, ये तो गंदा हो गया, तुमने खा लिया, उसको क्या फर्क पड़ता है? अभी तो झूठा हो गया है. पर शबरी का faith was so strong that वो झूठा कर करके खा रही थी, दे रही थी भगवान को, एंड भगवान एक्सेप्ट कर रहे थे, उसको खा रहे थे, खुशी से खा रहे थे. जो कि you and me can give it with very best fruit, they will not eat. Lord will not eat. So what Shabri possessed was faith. So that is very important. Now, Lord will take us through a journey which is very powerful in this chapter about faith. He says, look at how beautifully Bhagavan explains this. This is a very deep concept. Shri Bhagavan Trividha bhavati shraddha dehinam sa svabhavaja satviki rajasi chaiva tamasi cheti tam shruno. Lord will now go into details of faith. He explains, Bhagavan Uvacha, Bhagavan said, Trividha bhavati shraddha. 3 types, teen vidke is bhavati, shraddha, faith is 3 types. Dehinam sa swabhavaja. So, swabhava. Bhava is becoming, the typical word. I've told you earlier also, for 3-4 years we are talking about this. Bhava is to become. So, or bhavati is to be born. So it's the same word here and there, we change according to the grammar. So, trividha bhavati shraddha dehinam sa swabhavaja. So, from faith, क्या उद्भव होता है? भवति. श्रद्धा से भवति क्या? स्वभाव. Meaning, what is inside of us, what faith we innately possess, that is our swabhava, our inner nature. I'll give you an example of this. My faith is in science. I believe left, right, and center science. So my faith is in science. I believe science can cure, science can bring a solution to every human problem. So my template through which I'm looking at the world is science. So that is my swabhava. Everything I think will be scientific. It will be reasoned. It will be calculated. It will be using the buddhi and the logical reasoning mind. Tol mol ke bol. I will always look at everything from the nazariya of science. So Lord is saying, look what your faith you possess, what kind of faith you possess. That is how you will behave. That is how you will think thoughts. That is how you will speak. Suppose my faith is in something else, say, what I have been taught in childhood. I will look at everything colored with that faith. So faith is so important. So faith is not necessarily with God. It can be anything that has been ingrained into me or I have carried as a sanskara from past life. Bhavati Shraddha Saswabhavaja. From the Shraddha, Swabhava is born. What type? Satviki Rajasi cha eva tamasi cha iti tam shrunu. So this Sattva, Rajas and Tamas can be the fundamental glass through which this faith moves. Listen to this, how it happens, Lord says. So Lord basically is saying, your faith can be classified. Now, if it's a scientific faith, what is it going to be classified as? Rajasic, because it is passionate, reasoning, active. Suppose it is a purely spiritual faith. What is it going to be classified as? A sattvic faith. Suppose it is a spiritual faith which has negative tendencies. You're going to look at it as a tamasic faith. So everything can be looked at from sattva, rajas, tamas, whatever faith you have. It creates your personality, but it can be classified under sattva, rajas, tamas. Listen to this, Arjuna, he says. Let us look at this. Lord says, Sattvanurupa sarvasya Shraddha bhavati bharata Shraddha mayoyam purusho Yo yat shraddha sa eva sa. So again, Lord is talking about that. Sattva anurupa. Sattva is one's own self here. It is not sattvic. Sattva means one's own self. Sattva anurupa follows one's mind. The mind is the sattva, that part of you, which is the creation. Sarvasya, all. Shraddha bhavati bharata. The mind conforms to the nature of your Shraddha, your faith. Bharata. Shraddha mayaha ayam purushaha. Yo yat shraddha sa eva saha. Sa is he. Yo, jiska, whatever his faith is, his entire being is according to that. So we have to go deep inside ourselves and check what is our faith. Whether our faith is in this world, whether our faith is in our family, whether our faith is in the Brahma, in Lord, in the Guru. Where is the faith lying right now? If you go really deep, introspect, you will know everything, every action, every thought springs from that faith. And for most people, it will be their social group. They believe very strongly because the faith that family has taken, mother, father has taken care, protected everything from the childhood. So the friends he's grown up with, then there is extended family. So the soul feels very secure. Rather, the ego feels very secure in the family. So the faith moving to a higher reality, which is unseen, which is God, is a difficult challenge. So everything, his thought process, his works, his activities, everything will be related to the family only. You see? That is why when they become sannyasi, yatayaha, you want to become a sannyasi, you want to become vairagi, they will do mundan, they will remove everything. They say, I don't want anything to do with anybody. Even my last past name is over, I'm dead. Then only you will look for something different. You will change your faith. It's very interesting how deeply Lord Krishna goes. Every human, I'm just giving an example. So somebody's faith may be in science. For him, family is nothing, God is nothing. Like a scientist, he may create beautiful scientific equipment, scientific things. For somebody, a faith may be something like a village deity. So everything of his faith is in that village deity. And according to that conformity, he will perform his actions and thoughts. This is very deep. You should go very deep and think about it. So check the nature of your faith. You will come to know who you are. It can also simply directly apply to your religion, your culture, your civilization, your environment that you keep, everything. Everything stems from what you deeply believe. It can also go to the extent of avidya, what I deeply believe. That's your faith. Then, Lord will explain with relation to spirituality now. He says, Yajante satvika devan yaksharakshansi rajasaha pretan bhutaganshtanye yajante tamasa janaha. Now, people may feel it's very far-fetched, especially being an Indian, living in a country, very spiritual country like India, always thinking of God, having a temple for every 1 kilometer, you'll see a temple, small or big. So accepting every kind of religion, every kind of faith. This is typically Hinduism. So for them, it may feel a little far-fetched, but this is the truth. If you look at the entire world, you will understand this shloka completely. Lord says here, Yajante, they worship Satvika, those with Sattvic kind of faith. Devan, they worship gods, meaning higher beings who are pure and spiritual. Yaksha, Rakshansi, there are also not so spiritual beings, but who can give you all kinds of growth and success and money, predict your future. They are called Yakshas and Rakshasas. Okay, Yaksha, Rakshansi. Rajasa, Rajasic kind of people will worship them. Okay. Prethan Bhuta Ganan. Pretas and Bhutas and such Ganas. Cha Anye, others, Yajante Tamasa Jana. Tamasic kind of people will worship these kind of beings. Now, this you may ask, where are these beings? How are they? You and I will not know, but this is happening. In the Western world, there's so much called satanic worship. And many times, the person who's worshipping will also not know, because these are all invisible beings, you see. They will not even know that they are doing this. It is going against the spiritual injunction of the universe, against God's laws. For this, you need to know tremendous amount of history. We can't spend so much time. You need to know the Old Testament. You need to know different religions. You need to know a whole lot of study of Sumerian civilization, the Anunnakis, the Elohim, the Nephilims, the teachings of the Mayan, Incas, Aztecs. When you are having time, you will understand. All this falls into place. Even in India, we had tantrics, we had people who used to worship Rakshasas or tamasic kind of pretas, bind the pretas. We've got the example in Guruji's book, no, of that Afzal, who used to be a pret. Usko bind karke rakhna. Vikramaditya Raja also had a pret who was called, what's his name? I forget that. Vetal was his name, right? So he was a pret. He had come from a lower loka. You can bind those people and keep through higher powers, or you can also worship them and please them. And when these people worship them, Lord Krishna will explain how it can be worshipped. And they immediately give you what you want. Instant gratification. Those worships are still there, but it is all hidden from mankind. So Bhagwan Krishna is talking about this. Then Lord explains a little detail. He says, Ashastra vihitam ghoram tapyante ye tapo janaha dambhahankara samyukta kamaraga balanvitaha karshayantah sharirastham bhutagramamachetasa mam chaivanta sharirastham tan vidyasura nishchayan. Nishchayan bata diya Bhagavan. Definitely, these are asuric kinds of faiths. So Lord says it, Ashastra Vihitam. They don't necessarily follow the scriptural injunctions. Not the correct scriptures. Ghoram. their worship will be very, very scary. There will be bloodshed, there will be killing, there will be destruction. Ghora, ugra karmana, shayaya jagato hitaha. So that kind of where bali is given, narabali, pashubali, these are ghora karmas, right? You are going to kill another soul. This can be as miserable, as horrible, if this kind of faith you possess. Ghoram. Tapyanteye. You're going to hurt or you're going to burn, trouble. Ye tapaha. You do that kind of a ghor tapaha. Janaha. People. Such kind of people who trouble the others, who give pain to the others and say, this is tapas. This is my faith. It says, kill something, kill a man. Don't worry, it is mostly prevalent in only in one or two religions, but definitely in all religions of the world also. Somewhere here and there, these kinds of people are still there. Sometimes in massive scales, they will say, Ma Kali asks for Narabali. Ma Kali asks for this Bali. Nonsense. Ma Kali never asks for anything. Krishna is Durga. Durga is Krishna. One the same. There's a Purana where she says, goes to Bhagwan and says, Lord, I never asked humans to give me so many animals. But still, ek ke baad ek bakri kaat rahe log. Guruji talks about this very interestingly in the God Talks Arjuna. Guruji doesn't go into controversies because in time, these kinds of faiths will wipe themselves out. When the higher times are coming, this will happen naturally. Guruji there says, when Abraham was asked to sacrifice a goat instead of his son, the people who were addressing him was not God. They were higher beings who were invisible. So we didn't know as humans who was talking to Abraham. So what kind of higher being was talking? So you see similar references in the Puranas. We have the Devas coming and asking human kings in Hinduism for Bali, Pashubali, Yagas, Yajnas. Now what is very fascinating is Bhagavan Krishna came and changed the whole thing. He said, don't do this. And he gave a good rap to all the Swargaloka beings who would come and ask for such things through Brahmin priests or through, and he said, everyone stop all this nonsense worship. Same thing Jesus did in the Western world. So Jesus was sent for the East and Lord Krishna was sent for the East and Lord Christ was sent to the West. Jesus said, I'm going to be the last lamb sacrificed. Judaism, in the Jewish temple, King Solomon's temple, I believe so many lambs and crows and birds and everything was sacrificed that there used to be rivers of blood which used to be flowing every day. Rivers of blood. Today it may sound very strange, but I and you might have done it in our past lives, wherever we were. Because we believed that God is pleased with it, because we were told. And who are these gods? They were these Elohims, the Devas, or the shining ones. Sometimes good, sometimes evil. We don't know. They're all talking to us in various forms through somebody as a mediator who has the capability to listen to them through a little higher frequency through them. And they trouble us and they tell us, if you don't do this, I'm going to drop you down dead. And they did it because they were totally in charge of human beings. Until Lord Krishna came and said, no, don't do this. You have no right to trouble the humans. Because initially humans were given under the protection of these gods and these shahs, and they all started fighting amongst themselves. So then Lord from the highest causal universes started protecting humans. This is for our own world. It might be happening everywhere else. In the other worlds also, other planetary systems also, all these evolutionary processes might have happened. Today, it's not allowed. Killing an animal is not allowed. 3,000 years back, before Krishna's time, was it allowed? Perhaps it was allowed. It had some injunctions, it had some reasons, some restrictions. Some higher being was taking it and giving whatever you desired. Why did they do it? There are some reasons why the sacrifice was happening, but today it is not happening like that. And it is not allowed. So Lord Krishna said it same. Then he says, Damba Ahankara Samyukta. Filled with Damba, I am great, I can do this. Ahankara, I am doing it. Samyukta, filled with Kama Raga Bala Anvitaha. I want to possess this Kama. raga, attachment to that thing, the person, or I want a job, I want a car, I want that boy in my life as a husband, I want this girl, I'm ready to do anything. I will cut a goat, I'll cut the neck of a cow, I'll do anything. So they had these things, kama, raga, bala, anvita, forced by this internally, filled with this, impelled by this. Karshayanta sharirastham, bhutagramam achetasaha. They will torture themselves also in mental agony and mental stress. Bhutagramam, and all the other beings also they will torture without any consideration. Achetasa, basically stupid people. Achetasa. Because Lord says anybody with a pure and sattvic mind will be compassionate. Universal love and compassion is the highest spiritual law. And that is something as basic, a little child knows it. It is pre-programmed. The children are sent pre-programmed with this spiritual law. That is why Patanjali says these yamas and niyamas, which is that ahimsa, satya, steya, brahmacharya, parigraha, yamaha, shaucha, santosha, tapaswadhyaya, ishvara, pranidhanani, niyamaha. These yamas and niyamas. He says, Sarvabhauma Mahavritam. This is an injunction, spiritual injunction, Sarvabhauma, universal spiritual injunction. It has to be followed irrespective of Desha, Jati, Desha, Kala, Anavachinnaha. Means it is not circumscribed by which country you were born, which religion you follow, which practice you're doing, or which you're a Deva, you're a Manava, you're a Asura. Anavachinnaha. You cannot do harm to others. It's the first law. Whether it is a goat, whether it's a cow, it's a pig. They are so sure about this, these laws, the great scriptures. Man still does not understand. And that's why he suffers. That's why he suffers with disease, anxiety, stress, cancer, and so many social ills. I don't get rich. People suffer. Why? Because they're not following any of the spiritual laws that gets them success or richness. They don't follow anything. There are floods, flash floods. People are dying, tsunamis, forest fires, sudden new deaths, new types of diseases. Man he doesn't open the scriptures. He says scriptures nonsense. Bhagwat Gita is nonsense. I don't want to follow this. It's written 3,000 years back. So that is what Lord says. You can't do this. Karshayanta sharisam bhutagramam achetasa. Stupid people. Mam cha eva antaha sharirastham. I am sitting in the heart of all these beings. In every being that you're killing or troubling for your sake, saying that you are going to carry on, you're going to get this kama, raga and all. Tan with the asura nishchayan. Definitely know this person is asuric in nature. His nature is not proper, is not purified. Interesting, isn't it? Who will tell? It's written here for 3,000 years, but nobody follows. You even ask Hindus, they will say, no, we have tantric scriptures where, it has been written that ye bali allowed hai. Allowed hai. ठीक है, आप कर लो, आपका कर्म है. Then the Vaishnavas will become silent. Become silent. Then Lord talks, extending this. Now he says, Aharastvapi sarvasya trividho bhavati priya yajnastapastata danam tesham vedamimam shrunu. Say, look, Arjuna, even the food that you consume is dependent on the Shraddha, the sattvic faith, or the rajasic or the tamasic nature you possess because of the faith that you possess. Aharastu api, even the food that you consume, sarvasya of all, trivida, there are three kinds, bhavati, is priyaha, yagnyaha, tapa, tata danam. Yajna is the kind of sacrifices you make, tapa is the kind of troubles or the kind of yatna you do to go to God, austerity, tata danam, the kind of charity you give, tesham bedam. Inka difference, bedam. Imam Shunu, listen to this also. Now, Lord explains that in your life, you should continue to do every day Niyata karma you have to do. What is the niyata karma of every human being? Like, for example, a dog has to bark. Instinctively, it is knowing what is its food. A cat will mew and it knows what it has to do. But a human being does not know what he has to do. Why? Because very simple. Because he lost contact with the Brahma. If you let the forest live by itself, the lion will kill a deer. But have you seen when the lion eats once in 4 months? It kills a deer, it eats its fill, and it sleeps. And once it is eaten, there will be 3,000 other deers. The entire flock will be running around the lion without fear. There is no fear. The lion will be slain. You see it in the NGC now. So that is how it is. That is how the nature is very balanced. The time on time, the rain will come, the plants will flourish, the ritus will come, whether man is there or not. Because all these are instinctually bound to Brahma. But man became very intelligent, so he's not bound to Brahma anymore. So he won't do any of his niyata karmas. The niyata karmas are yajna, tapa, tata, dhanam. Krishna says that this has to be done by every person. Every day you have to worship. There is no way you can say I'm not worshiping. Tapaha, you have to do some activity in the name of God. So you may go to office, but if you have to do it in the name of God, that becomes your tapa then. Dhanam, you have to give off something that you have attained. Ancient Sanatana Dharmis is to do it. Every time you take a food, you offer it to God. That becomes your tapa. Then you'll take a little bit of food and keep it on the side to feed it to a cow or a monkey or a dog or something, pig or something. That is your dhanam. So these were very important, which is forgotten. So yesterday only I was listening to one of these very interesting, this one of how lawyer is there, no, Sai Deepak. He's a very nice, prolific orator. He says in one of this was how the British changed the Indians. They observed that the Indians followed these niyata karmas very strongly. From childhood, they were told to worship, bathe, keep themselves clean, study. That is mental activity and physical activity. So they were told all this. So the Indians never changed it. Since generations it was followed. So what they did is they hit the hammer at the point where it hurts the entire civilization. They broke the niyata karma. So they told people, come to office at niyata karma time, 7 o'clock in the morning. So niyata 7, 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock. So the person stopped his niyata karmas and got him hooked to money. Indians were never money minded. They were never money minded. They never ran behind money. Very unselfish civilization. Changed us. So today we have all the stress and tension following the same civilization. Hopefully it will change. Now it is changing. It's going to change next 100 years. Nobody's going to run behind money anymore. Now we'll come down. So we continue to do the niyata karmas. Then Lord says about the food, he says, Ayu sattva balarogya sukha priti vivardhana rasya snigdha stira hridya ahara satvika priyaha. Lord says sattvic kind of personalities will eat what? This kind of foods also Ayu will give Ayu, long life. Sattva, Bala. Sattva is goodness. It increases goodness in you. Bala, it increases strength. Arogya, good health. Sukha, happiness, contentment. Priti, satisfaction or love. Vivardhanaha. Some foods longevity, happiness, contentment, and love. Vivardhana. These kinds of fruits are rasya. It's juicy. When you eat this kind of fruit, it's juicy. Now you think of anything juicy. Mango is juicy. Anything that's soft and mushy is juicy, right? Snigdha. Snigdha is it moves very softly. It slips literally. Snigdha is chikna rehta hai. It's like this simple example. You can do this experiment very consciously. Don't yap when you're eating. Don't talk. take a piece of pizza, eat one or two pieces of pizza, and then you go and eat a mango. Or today you eat pizza or whatever, and next day experiment. Next day you eat mango or something like a curry, sambar or something, not very masale and all boiled and things like that. That is also not wrong. That's also not right. Something very nicely cooked, simple, like our ancient, thalis. They're all very pristine. At the end of the food, don't overeat. Observe that when you've eaten thali, you're very relaxed. You feel content. That is hridya. You don't long for something more. Whereas when you've eaten a pizza, you will keep on longing for more food because all the navarasas are not satisfied. It's not scientific food. So it has to be hridya. Ahara satvika priya. These kinds of food, sattvic kind of people will be happy with. Also, it increases sattva in a person. And if everyone is eating this kind of food in this world, there will be no bombs. There will be no nuclear threats. There will be no political anger. There will be no poverty. I will hesitate to give 1,000 to a poor person. So that is Rajasic Tamasik, right? So Western civilizations are like that. Why? Because heavy meat consumption. Now Lord will explain next. He says, Katvam lalavanatyushna tikshna rokshna vedahinaha ahara rajasa seshta dukkha shokamaya pradaha. So khatu, it will be extreme tastes. Any extreme taste is rajasic in nature. Extreme khatta. Extreme sweet also becomes rajasic. Like too sweet, like jamun or that ras, jiska jo, everything mild is sattvic. So khatu, extreme bitter, amla, extreme sour, lavana, extreme salt, ati ushna, very pungent, very thika, tikshna, pungent. Ushna is hot, tikshna is pungent, rukshna is dry. Dry food is just chips and all, or जो बहुत दिन that actually explain it as something which is very okay, ancient, old, and kept there, or you can also say some people call it as very burning hot like that. Ahara rajasa siesta. So Rajas people के लिए ये इष्ट होता है, इष्टा. So they like to very extreme tastes, pickles, and they will make and keep hordes of it in their house. So all these very extreme. So this is Rajasic. Dukkha shoka amaya pradaha. This will make you discontent. It will increase discontent. Shoka is in the body. Anything in excess is disease producing. So then excessive sugar will cause diabetes, excessive salty and all those pungent, sour and all. Blood pressure, potassium, calcium goes for a toss. Thyroid gland will not understand what's happening to the body. They're not designed in such a manner, right? Then Lord says, that is why it's very important that we do the Nitya Karmas since childhood. Every child should be taught. What? Yajnadana tapah karma. Natyajyam iti chapare. Lord will say in the 18th chapter. Should never stop doing. Every day you have to give something to somebody. Lord, I wish the Gita was taught to us when we were little kids, 4 years, 5 years. And we taught this in turn to every person on earth. That is why Schrodinger, Einstein, Oppenheimer, they went crazy over the Gita. Tesla, everyone, they said there's nothing like this written in any language. And so succinct, so right and to the point. And so well written. And makes absolute sense for a person with higher temperament, higher consciousness. Lord says, Yata yamam gatarasam poti paryushitam chayat uchishtam chamedhyam bhojanam tamasapriyam. Yata yamam, it's gone. It is actually to be thrown. Gatarasam, its taste is puti, it's putrid, like, aged cheese. coffee from civet cat's poop. How can somebody even think of drinking it? Whiskey, liquor, alcohol. This is, yatayamam. You ferment, and you grind and remove all the nutrition. The rest of the dirt, which is only the tamasic dirt, is drank. So that is it. This is gadarasam, puti, paryushitam. This is polluted. Yat uchishtam. Also, it's kept over sometime the prana and all this time. Apicha amedhyam, and it is impure in every form. So here Bhagavan Krishna has mentioned amedhyam is impure. Impure is any form of food that is come by killing. Anything, even a fish, even a what do you call a chicken or a goat. Everything is amedhyam. It is pure, impure. This is a mentioning in Ayurveda also. They don't say that don't. They say, okay, if you have Vata Deha, you're very weak, you can consume this in very limited quantities and only in the afternoon. And in very pure injunctions are mentioned in Ayurveda. Only if like this it is. But otherwise, it's never expected to be eaten. Even for the Rajas and the kings and the soldiers also, it was not. By and by, when the times changed, became Rajasic and Tamasic, they started eating. Amedim, Bhojanam Tamasapriyam. So if your nature is tamasic, you long for it. Now Lord will talk about yajna. Now he said, no, yajna, dana and tapa you have to keep doing all your life. So what is the yajna that you have to do? How you worship to God? Whatever, with fire, without fire, how you worship. Afalakankshibhiryajno vididrishto ya ijjate yashtavyameveti manaha samadhaya sa satvikaha. Afala akankshibhihi. Not expecting any akanksha, not any expecting any reward. मुझे ये दो बच्चे का शादी करा दो. You can ask, but in a regular activity, when you do it, you cannot ask these things. This take care of this person. Lord will take care, irrespective of it. But here, Lord says, beautiful injunction is Islam. You say 5 times go down and worship Lord. I love you, you have to say. That's it. Afala akankshibhi yajnaha. You have to do that kind of worship. Vidhi drishtaho. According to the scriptures, you can do it. Ya ijjate. When it is performed, yashtavyam eveti. Because it has to be given on a regular basis, you have to go down and worship. Like this again is not a gathering. Lord is not an old lady sitting there and saying, okay, praise me, worship me, worship me. I need attention. Generally want that attention. So like that is ego. So this is not what I also before. Here the mobile. We Sasasinavat. He is not interested. He's detached. He just creates and leaves and walks away. He's not waiting for us to call him. But it is our requirement that we have to plug ourselves into that socket every day. To learn how to do it. So Lord says, no, go and learn. Seek. Go to a guru. Search for a guru. Cry for a guru. Weep. Wail for a guru. That is your duty as a human. What chapter he says, no? You ask for tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena se upadekshanti te jnanam jnanina tattva. Where will you get all this jnana? Brahma tattvadarshi. Look for the tattvadarshi, no? Lord says. Krishna doesn't tell Arjuna, follow me. He says, look for the tattvadarshi. Look for your guru, like that. Ya ijjate yashtavyam eva eti. It has to be done. Nitya karma it is. Mana samadhaya sa satvikaha. So you're sure this has to be done? It has to be done as an injunction. Correctly, I go down and sit and quietly close my eyes and say, Lord, I love you. I want to connect myself. I'm a little one. I've come from there. I don't want to be attached to this world. Why? Because We get attached, we're going to get discontent because home is up there. So when we attach like that, we know it is the right thing to do, we will be content. And we will, that is a sattvic worship. Now, what is rajasic worship? God says, Abhisandhaya tu phalam dhambartamapi cha eva yat ijjate varata shreshta tam yajnam viddhi rajasam. Rajasic, passionate and desire filled. Abhisandhaya tu phalam. The fundamental reason, inspiration for this prayer, for going to the temple was to get a phala, to get some benefit. So that is a motivated by that phala. Okay. Sometimes I want to show off. Look, I am also spiritual. So I will go and I will worship. And this is written by every person. So observe, Guru Nanak was one day worshipping with one Muslim priest, I believe. That Muslim priest used to think that he's very great for his name. And then he was worshipping very, fully. After a long time, then all prayer got over, namaz got over, everyone went. So Guru Nanak, this priest was very full of pride. Oh, look, I worship God every day with so much love. Hundreds of people come and listen to my beautiful voice. Then Guru Nanak asked him, so he looked at Guru Nanak for his adulation for worshipping. Then Guru Nanak said, have you finished tying your goat to this one? You worried the goat is not come back. He had a herd of goat and he was praying, but his mind was on the herd of goat, which is come back or not at 5 o'clock. And then you were also getting your daughter married. And you were thinking how many mohars have to be given in that marriage as dowry, and the groom, and you're thinking of the various suitable grooms. For the last half an hour, this is what you were doing.